Hello and welcome to the aMarieSpeaks podcast, Season 2, the video podcast sessions, I guess, is what they're going to be called at some point. Lost in transition episodes, maybe. Who knows? Thank you for your audience and thanks for joining me. Today is October 9th and this is episode 10, I believe. However, I may have gotten mixed up in numbering these episodes, I realized a couple episodes back, but I'm rolling with it. I'm calling this 10. Who cares? Who's watching, right? This is part 6 of my ode to Walter Russell and his wonderful salutation to the day, his morning prayer within one of his books, The Divine Iliad. This prayer has been such an amazing addition to my Sacred Sunday routines and to my life. It has brought forth not just blessings in my life, circumstances, events, and people, and all types of wonderful miracles, but it's also brought me through this level of unlocking my own inner distortions, my own misconceptions, assumptions, even conceptions that, preconceptions that perhaps are useful or were useful or were even correct, but that I had to go around the whole house and back to the front door to be like, yes, this is the correct entrance. I get it. And by returning to this prayer or this wonderful, metaphysical manifestation mantra, I don't know what you even call these longer sayings, but I'm calling it a prayer, and lots of people do. I think Walter Russell might have even called it prayer and himself in it, so we'll stick with that word. That, is a distorted word in its own anyways. I love it, right? Let's be breaking out of all of these entanglements that sometimes I find myself just placing out there in imagination space on a word like that. I don't even have those, or I'm working to disengage from all of those weird things I put on the word prayer, and I have been for quite a while. I don't really feel like I hold on to those that much anymore myself. And yet when I am talking or when I'm thinking out there in imagination, for some reason, I'm still placing those on others out there and making them a big part of their points of view. And maybe that's incorrect. Maybe I should let go of that a little bit and give a little more freedom out there as well, right? So, yeah, we'll see. It's a work in progress, right? But today's work in progress, we will pick up where you left off at. Last episode 5 only got through a small little blurb, but some of these are really standalone portions, as I've mentioned. They kind of come through as these kind of segments on certain topics together, and then it kind of moves into the next thing. All of them are very beneficial and I feel crucial to igniting purpose and drive in the morning, getting your day going, setting up your day for success. But they all have kind of a different flavoring. And today what I'd like to go through is this next section, which has to do with healing in the body and charging our energetic body. I love the many teachings that I have received from these. I break them down to 2 paragraphs in my notes here. It's quite a few sentences, but they all sort of circle around the same words and the same themes. So I think I might read it through first for us now, and then go back and dissect a bit of the lines after. And in my previous episodes, I've sort of just been doing one line and going through it, but hoping with keeping this not an eternal dissection, which I'm sure I could probably just do this forever, but hoping to have an ending in sight, right? I'm going to try to keep things a little more concise and a little thicker. So I'm going to read through these lines here and then dive into a few of them individually. I will keep my body charged with energy for the fulfillment of my purpose, in accord with that which is commanded of me. I have knowledge of my body through age-long memory of the building of my body. The power of the dynamic universe is behind my thinking. I have the power of self-vitalization and revitalization of my body to multiply its productivity in fulfillment of that which is commanded of me. I have power to revitalize others whom I have made to believe. To him who believes, I will give power to do that which is his to do, for the glory of man and for the glory of the One. I stand on the electrodes of the universe of energy. Power is mine to give by the wayside. I will not deny to any man who asketh the power which is mine to give. I have no limitations. Unlimited power is mine within those who are universal. And those are the lines I'm going to sort of work through. And there's, as you can feel, there's so much power, vitalization, invigoration happens when you speak and hear those kinds of words. And really take them in and allow them to be truths for you. You can feel the change of consciousness, the shift of aliveness within the cellular body, within the physical body. You can breathe more life and light into yourself. And it really does become more alive. There is more happening in there. And whether you choose to just see it as tingling, as sensations, as sort of neurological inputs of recognition, paying, more attention to certain areas, and so of course the sensations become more noticeable to the reticular activating systems of the brain, I believe is what they call that sort of functionality that brings likeness towards itself. You can feel free to describe it away and belittle it and cut off its beautiful wings in that way if a scientist's mindset is really comfortable to you and you need to do that. But I suggest that we work at trying not to do that anymore. I have been many years in encouraging myself to get out of that deep, I believe, mind control tactics, that are rooted inside of me and many of us, because we are of place and space here in this. We have come to break out of these things to prove we're stronger than them, or whatever the case is. Everybody's here for a different kind of reasons. I don't want to get too caught up in that. But the part that I do want to get caught up in is that the physical body vessel is a part of the playscape here. It is part of the birthing process. It's part of the alive process. The body will decay and return to materials, molecules, isness of the creation of here and now. But the flame, the consciousness, that which is untouchable and yet is more real than the touchable, that carries on. That is of before and after. That comes from outside of the creative manifestation. And that is where our power comes from. That's what becomes ignited. That's what we can use to fuel our energetic body, and of course to heal our body and to allow the organic functions of all the organs and systems to work and function as they should in a balanced, well-being. We're not meant to be diseased. We are being continually poisoned and bombarded with toxins and negativity for reasons to keep us down, to keep us sick, because we do continually heal, and we can, and any time that you choose to be stronger than it and overpower it, if you believe that truth enough, you will find out that you are. And that's the key, and each time anew, because it's a cyclic thing happening here. It's not one and done. I know our lifetime seems to be one and done, but it's also a paradox because each day is new. And in fact, our present moment during the daytime seems eternal. Days can last forever, or conversely, they could fly by. So, we have these sort of truths to hold within us, to balance of opposing choices as to make our choices and build our life from. And health and disease are two of these opposing choice points. Just like I said, the prayer is kind of broken into categories, right? This is sort of the health and well-being one that has to do with the physical body. I don't know if I've really mentioned in this, I know I haven't in this episode, but in this season yet, really about the bosses in mind, body, and spirit, triad of creation, it being a real working template that we can use and utilize for huge benefits if we choose to, like a prism, break our energetic selves, our multidimensionality, into 3 layers of mind, body, and spirit, and give them bosses, managers, workers, entire layers of beings. One of my favorite things to do. And here inside this prayer really spoke and still speaks to my body boss. And as I say this prayer, and as I do any work with my body boss and with my body itself, I feel a shift in consciousness in myself that really proves the truth. It sings out resonance of truth to me. And that's also, I feel like, I'm going to jump to the end of what I've read in the paragraphs, but when he is saying here at the end, I have no limitations, unlimited power is mine within those who are universal, right? This is saying, and there is a power to acknowledging your power. And when others do, and speaking back to the prism of selves within yourself, when you can look at yourself and allow your bosses to ignite their power and to know their unlimited power and to identify themselves as universal consciousness beings, you can create momentum within yourself of confirmation and recognition in there, admiration and acceptance and appreciation. So fulfilling that you'll never need or desire external variations. Of course, this is getting there. This is a process. As I sort of skip over my own words and I hear my own distortions in there, of course. But this is the work that we're getting to. And by honoring it and knowing that it is the light ahead and knowing that my higher self is already there and all of us are, that keeps us beaming this light. It keeps us allowing a connectivity here and the faith to stay alive. It keeps us charged, right? And as I'm thinking these words a lot of times to myself, and I say them, I will keep my body charged with energy for the fulfillment of my purpose. And I think, oh, well, what is my purpose, right? So many different things come through here. And I'm sure for many people, we all go through many different purposes, because even though we have this sort of singular defined theme that we're here to inhabit and grow through, there's an infinite way of potentialities to discover in that theme. And so thinking about, for the fulfillment of my purpose and what kind of energies I need to be charging, I find infinite discovery here. A lot of times it's very much cut and dry, to the point, and taking the words as they see in the 3D realm. And I talked about this when I first started this, salutations to the dawn, and having a greeting, and having this sort of conditionary stage of welcoming, a transitory, obvious threshold of welcoming. And I think same thing here, with the sort of direct language. To keep your body charged with energy for fulfillment of your purpose, well, your purpose is to be alive and to live your life in a state of feeling good. It's not the purpose to feel sick every day, to slug through life, to feel, in my own personal case, full of chronic illness, stiffness, migraines, headaches, can't get out of bed, no energy, fatigue, in a lot of pain, actually, a lot of times, in straight physical torment and torture with very intense migraines that I used to go through. But we're not meant to live like that, I don't think. Our purpose is to find what feels good and to enjoy our lives and to enjoy the chance we have here and live it to the fullest. So surface value at the beginnings for me was repeating this prayer immediately. That was kind of what I was coming through, and what I would recognize here is my own wonderful journey to health and well-being, and to igniting my own inner sense of homeostasis and organic wellness. And to think that wellness is what's been, that path of healing, that path of showing others how to heal, that it is possible, that we're not doomed by these diagnoses, that all of the whole realm and world is actually a farce over there in the sort of medical hierarchy and all of that kind of penguin world, and that I can break out of it, and I can find, and others can as well, and I would really get into that sort of as the prayer, and of course it comes into the next part that says, I have the power to revitalize others. So there's this sort of same line of thinking, right, of this sort of physical health and wellness aspect to it, and the healers and energy healers, and sometimes I don't always even resonate with that, because sometimes, as many people do, they struggle with understanding their gifts or whether they are something or not, and don't really want to call themselves one thing or another, or perhaps even if you feel like you have a gift in healing, it doesn't always work, and so perhaps you just think it's not really of you, or it wasn't you, or whatever the case might be, right? We can have these sort of strange shadowing alignments that happen, these distortions created when we get into these words of healing others and healing ourselves, and having a power to do that. And that's been a big working for myself as well, to sort of get out of even seeking externally anything, because there's a big martyrdom issue with myself. There's a large body of my soul, which, especially in the past, was very focused and involved in the external world, and in savior complexes, in the slave master cycles of these sort of cyclic, negative, fulfilling prophecies that I get myself caught up in. Not really realizing that the locus of control I was chasing after was never even within my reach. It was an illusion. And then I tire myself out there and then, consequently blame myself, not realizing that it out there has nothing to do with me, and out there doesn't have a point that you can actually make an impact on or an influence within. That the points of influence and impact are within the inner world and in myself first, which cause and create ripple effects outwards, which may or may not carry out to external reflections. But that has to do with co-creation and external space. And you can't go into that sort of external space with negative infringing intentions and expect positive balances to return back after the fact. It's like going out to spend money and thinking that you're going to come back with more money in your pocket after shopping. There's different actions taking place with different exchanges and different rules. Doesn't matter how powerful your thoughts about magic money are, unless, of course, there's an inner divine knowledge at work, which would call forth different external happenings in external plays that might bring you a winnings or a gift while you're out as to why you come home with more money than you left with. But see how that's outside the natural laws of happenings, procedures, and functions that would regularly take place in a shopping day at the mall, right? When we talk about how negative regularity works and how regular systems function, we have to remember that they follow rules. They don't just change out of nowhere. A negative alignment. So it all depends on how we think about this sort of power of others and ourselves and within our body and what we're charging with and what kind of work we're seeking to do. And these are huge things that I sort of developed through in the last year of going over this prayer, getting more deeply into it. And I've sort of gotten a little roundabout, but it brings me to the concept of power yet again. I already sort of talked about this, I believe back in episode 3, the sort of conundrum we get into with talking about all power is mine and thinking we're taking away from others when we say things like that. But if we remember, right, and this is a wonderful lines that really impress what this means, how we're not taking away from others, right, when we say power is mine. Because Walter Russell gives us a wonderful visual of what the etheric, infinite intelligence layer is really made up of, what the electric sort of inner, that mind's layer of the universe could be like or look like, standing on electrodes of a universe of energy. And if you think of electrodes, and you can think of circuit boards, you could think of a grid, you can think of graph paper, little boxes, you can think of a web or netting, whatever geometric shapes call to your liking. Understanding that there is this background electrical setting, just like the fascia of the body, just like a neural network, just like the beautiful mushroom fungi network, mycelium, I think is the right name. I could be wrong, but I believe that is. And inside the ground, interlocking all of the trees, we have that same, or well, the universe has that same makeup, and we are a part of it. Though we don't see it, obviously, with our eyes, it is there, it is interlinking, and it is continuously pulsating, vibrating, cymatic resonances of intention and frequency. A language is all of their own. And each one of us pulsates on there. And it's a free-for-all situation. You know, I don't want to also go back into too much of what I talked about in episode 3 either. So if you've missed that, you can go back and see a little bit more about the power section, about the power conversation, because I really wanted to just get into one other section here that I talked about, which is a little bit deeper in the accord with that which is commanded of me, to have knowledge of your body through age-long memory, the building of your body. And this speaks so crucially to cell division, to quote-unquote stem cells, whatever you want to believe about that, or the name of them and all that. But the beautiful working that we are ever-changing, and that our cellular consciousness is super intelligent. Neuroplasticity is a wonderful example of that, and it's becoming more and more of a knowledgeable sort of area of brain wellness now, even in the mainstream areas. But this knowing that we have instructions built into every cell, a fractalized, compartmentalized wholeness centered in every cell, that it knows what to do with itself, is crucial in locking into healing yourself, into unlocking the consciousness within you, and into creating a conversation so that you could create these co-creative spaces within yourself, and go into them with respect so that you can hear back from those inner workings as to what they need to heal. Because believe it or not, it is a two-way street. And you will get input values from those inner consciousness sources that will tell you what they need to make them feel better. Their solution, their, place of wanting, or what nutrients they need, or whatever the case is. When we create the space to listen and to know that there is a memory inside of them, there is a consciousness inside of them. The power of the dynamic universe is behind my thinking, right? To remember that our thoughts are powerful, not just powerful because we're thinking them, but they're powerful because where do they come from? And here we are reminded or called to remember, inspired to believe, or even just ask maybe, what if, right? The power of the dynamic universe is behind your thinking. It's the motivation behind it all. It's the man behind the curtain. It comes from that before and after. And what does that really mean? To me, it calls me to action. It, gives me this really strong sense of responsibility and desire to betterment, to my best self, to being of a service in a worthy way, while I am gifted with this amazing chance of conscious awareness, of being able to make impact, of having physicality in space, where I can get things done. I really, I could talk about this for so much longer, and I'm just noticing I'm already at a half an hour. But there's this ignition of conscious awareness, that can really unlock here in these paragraphs, that can really be an infinite, never-ending discovery journey for us, each one of us, in our own way, because our own body is divinely unique to us, and we are bestowed with dominion over it as the ultimate creator being of this one place in space. That is your physical vessel. That is your little corner of reality. Your mosaic tile of the whole stained glass beautiful image that is the whole of creation here, which God is looking at, or perhaps which is actually the face of God. I'm not going to claim that I know that. But I do have a great sense of the purpose of it, and from my humble, small human capacities, I get the picture enough, right? But anyways, to really kind of close around the last things of these paragraphs before I close our session here, I wanted to just touch on a couple of different arrangements and words I've added in. Typically, I do my own little switch-ups kind of every Sunday, depending on how I'm feeling and what I'm aligning with in the day, or that day, or in my journey at that time, that week, that month, who knows, right? It's all one and the same pretty much, but sticking with the theme of positivity, and seeking positive aligning systems and functions in exchanges for ourselves, while we comb through distortion, right, as we seek more truth and things that feel more true to us, we want to communicate in ways that are more clear and that also have a general atmosphere and assumption of positivity, not negativity. And that in itself is a giant working, but this is, why this is also for more adept people who have had time to quiet the inner critique and get some space away from that negative bullhorn that so many of us have inside of us. Again, it could be mind control techniques and implantations and things, but it doesn't really matter to the source or the purpose. It's just to a notice or notification to do the work. And you will be taken to the root causes and help flush them out, no matter what they are. But anyways, but this brings me to a few things I want to highlight about some word changing. And you might find it helpful as well. And I'm going to just reread, just sort of how I opened with reading the whole thing. I'm going to close out here with reading it, and you hear the difference in the words here, hopefully. I will keep my body charged with energy for the fulfillment of my purpose, in accord with that which is commanded of me. I have knowledge of my body through age-long memory of the building of my body. For the power of the dynamic universe is behind my thinking. I have the power of self-vitalization and revitalization of my body to multiply its productivity in fulfillment of that which is commanded of me. I have power to revitalize others whom I have made to believe. To him who believes, I will give power to do that which is already his to do, for the glory of man and for the glory of the Infinite One. For we stand on the electrodes of a universe of energy, and power is ours to give by the wayside. I will not deny to any man who asketh the power which is mine to freely give. For I have no limitations. Unlimited power is mine within those who are universal. And there's a little bit of language added in there that's just ands and ours, and having this incorporation of sharing and otherness and a service to others outlined a little bit more clearly, I think is something that I've really enjoyed adding in there, and helps me to give a little bit more oomph to my own ignition of service. So yeah, I guess that's where I will sort of leave it for now, and we will pick up episode 7 in the next section. Thank you for joining me here today, and I hope to catch you next time. Have a beautiful day or evening wherever in the world you are. Enjoy your beautiful piece, your role. Thank you for our contribution to our collective. We certainly wouldn't be the same without you. And yeah, I will catch you next time.